right, y'all, what's going on? I am trying this again. I don't know what is going on with the internet connection in my area for the past few days, but it has been trash. It's I don't know what, and I'm tired of it stopping in the middle of my conversations with you guys on live because it's sucking. So I'm just gonna go ahead and jump right into family or fiance, and hopefully it'll be fixed. I'm gonna have to call them tomorrow to find out why the internet is acting this way. But anyway, so if you caught the first part of this live, I was talking about Literica and Omar from this week's episode of Family or Fiance. The conversation was really about emotional incestuous relationships between children and their parents and how that affects their relationships with their romantic partners as they get older. And I told you guys that me personally, I grew up in a two-parent household, but I absolutely have abandonment issues from things that took place during my childhood and just in my life in general. But definitely from how the boundaries were set up in my household as well as in my family, period. So yeah, I have abandonment issues that I'm trying to heal from and work on right now. And I can recall that when I think there was a post about a single mother that did a photo shoot with her kid, and the photo shoot rubbed me wrong, as it often does when I see parents make it so that their small children or their children, period, are their partner in crime. It's us against the world. I think something is wrong with that mindset. I don't think that children are adult enough or understand the world enough to have these unspoken agreements with their parents, and the parents feel like that's what's going on. Like, they feel like their kid gets them. The kid loves them, they have a great relationship, and it's like, that's all well and good, but your child is still a child. And so the idea that they can be emotionally responsible for you is harmful to them because they haven't developed their own emotion and understanding of, I mean, everybody has emotion, but you know what I mean. They haven't developed their emotional understanding of themselves. They're children. They don't know who they are. The only reference they have is their parental figures and the people that are around them. So as the parent, if you see your child as someone that you can confide in emotionally, it then makes that child emotionally responsible for you. And then you have boundary issues. And that's another thing. And I can remember upsetting somebody in my family because I said this about single mothers. And it's like, this is not a slight to single mothers. It just so happens that in most situations with single mothers, it's just you and your kid. And of course, that creates this is us against the world mentality, especially if you were young when you had your kids, so you grew up with them to a certain extent. You did not have the correct boundaries in place for an adult parent and a child. Like, you don't have the boundaries in place when you create these bonds with your children as if your children are adults or old enough to understand what you're going through emotionally. You know what I'm saying? And it upset people, but I don't give a fuck because it's the truth. Like, it happened with me, and I'm not saying it happens with every single parent. I'm just saying it's more likely because there's only one parent. That's the only thing I'm saying. There's usually only one parent that's primary. Therefore, it's automatic for you to create this us against the world type of bond with your kid, especially if you are a black woman with a black son. You're going to view him as somebody that needs to be protected at all times. But then you're also going to start to see him as the anti his daddy, meaning that I'm trying to create something from nothing, meaning that the daddy ain't shit. So I have to pour into my son in a way that he doesn't show up like the daddy. But what you end up doing is creating a codependent relationship with him, because on some level, he is taking the place of somebody in your life that can be supportive to you in the way that you need as the adult. Now the child has taken on that role. So the child now understands that their parents' emotional well-being is their responsibility. It's not supposed to be that way, but that's what it is. So then what happens when they get older? When they get older, they don't know how to break loose from the bonds they have with their parents because there were no boundaries in place from the very beginning. So that's what this is for me. Okay? Let me run it. So Omar's mom has Literica, who just had a baby for this man, questioning his love for her. Omar doesn't think that he's too close to his mom. I don't know how he feels that way. He looked as if he was diminishing himself, being small. Like, and to me, whenever I see a man that seems to be diminishing himself in the moment like that, like even in the way he was holding his body, like it all felt like be small, be a little bit less. You know what I'm saying? Like it feels like he's actively trying to be less, than what he really is in order to make somebody else feel comfortable. He may not even realize he's doing it because it becomes subconscious. But then we see the mama and the lady is giving Trunchbull. If you've never seen Matilda, the shit was giving Trunchbull, okay? And when the shit started to give Trunchbull, I was just kind of like, yeah, we gonna have to go ahead and pray over this situation because you see people like this, they don't change. A lot of the times as people get older, they feel like they don't have to change. They're set in their ways, and no matter how much their children need them to be different, they just can't do it, just won't do it because they're too old. They may admit things at certain times, but they're never going to be too responsible for the damage they've caused because that feels bad to constantly be guilty or feel bad about how you didn't do what you were supposed to do by your child in one respect or another. And I get it. That's tough. Being a parent is the biggest job you're going to have. But the mistakes you make are also the biggest mistakes you're going to make because it's so detrimental to the kid when you make big ass goo-gob mistakes like making or allowing your son to feel like you're his responsibility at 8 years old. Omar's dad died when he was 8 years old and it just became him and a mother, okay? They experienced a lot together. He was paying his mom's rent. Literica got pregnant, and so she said, look, we can have your mom move in with us. The whole episode, they were arguing about whether Omar or Diane, his mom, decided that she would not move into the home with them. And I just didn't understand why they were even arguing about who said what. The lady shouldn't have ever come into the house in the first place, which made me feel like Literica wanted an opportunity to compete with his mom in a close setting. Yeah, come and move into the house with us so he can stop giving you the money that needs to come to our household. And you can help me with this kid and I can let you know that I ain't going nowhere. This is my man. You his mama, but I'm his woman. And you're not going to push me out just because you come into our household. I think that's what Literica had on her mind. Like, I'm going to show this woman that this is my man. I'm going to take care of him. So I want to work it out. But I'm also trying to show her you're not about to compete with me when it comes to my man. Okay? That's what it felt like to me, because otherwise, why are you pressing to have this lady that don't even like you move into the household with you and your husband when y'all are, you know what I'm saying? Y'all are trying to get married. Y'all would technically be newlyweds early on in this relationship, early on in this marriage, and you would invite Trunchbull into your house for what? I didn't understand it. Like, so y'all could save money? If y'all don't get some fucking the daddy ain't have no life insurance, y'all ain't have no type of like benefits for old people, y'all ain't got nothing that y'all can get. Y'all ain't got nothing that y'all can get for this old lady to make sure that the state or the government is taking care of her. That way, Omar doesn't have to give money he doesn't have. Because he was talking about how it was always such a huge place of pride for him to take care of his mother. And it's like, yeah, but only if you can also take care of your wife and kid too. You can't only be able to take care of your mom and think that that's this. No, you were always just responsible for her, sir. You were always responsible for your mother. And that's the reason why you did it. And it made you feel good to be able to. But if it's now creating an issue, now that you have a woman and a baby, that should let you know that that's not something that you really can do. You don't need to feel proud about something that you really financially cannot do. Okay? That's just what it felt like to me. Okay? Then when he said that he did not want any more children with Literica because the relationship between their daughter and his mom is not the best. The mom hasn't been back to see the grandchild since Literica had the baby. She said Literica made her feel uncomfortable, and you only got one time to make me feel uncomfortable, okay? Because I'm an old cat, and you ain't gonna lick an old cat in the butt. I said, ma'am, I don't know what the fuck none of that mean. But what I do know is you were looking for an issue with Literica. From what I understand, Literica said, we came back from the hospital. I did not know that you were coming to visit us. I was in the bed sleeping. He didn't tell me you were coming until after the fact. Either way, a woman that just gave birth should be able to be in her room resting while you deal with the baby and your son. Like, it shouldn't have been seen as disrespect that this woman needed to get some rest after having a child. Like, and that's another thing I can't stand. The way a lot of these mothers will, because it reminds me of Martell's mama and the way she handles Melody. Oh, you're lazy. You're lazy because you needed rest after having a child. I'm sorry, but to all of you women that say shit like that, y'all can all go straight to hell. Like, I think it is some of the most cruel and unusual shit as a mother for you to turn around and tell another woman that she's lazy because she needed rest after giving birth to a child. Go to hell. That's just how I feel about that. But that absolutely reminded me of Mel Martell and Martell's mom and her new attitude towards Mel. You know, because let's be real, you may have called Mel lazy or whatever, but you ain't say it to her face until after you and her son broke up. So anyway, you know, niggas, money you can call somebody lazy and your son staying with you because he can't afford to take care of himself. Who's lazy? Anyway, I'm sorry. Back to family or fiance. I mean, it's this weekend, so I know I might drift back and forth. Sorry. Okay. So yes, he doesn't want more kids because he thinks Literica is a barrier between his mom and the grandkid. And I'm just like, yeah, no. I mean, yeah, no. I don't even like the way that you refuse to see your mom as being responsible for how often she comes to see her grandchild. That just sounds crazy to me. But anyway, I just kind of feel like I don't know long term if these people can actually change. You know what I'm saying? Because the episode felt like there was going to be some change happening, but the way they were set in their ways during the episode, it made me feel like it was just, I don't know, like surface level. We tried to dig deep. We dug a little deep with the reasoning why things were happening. When Tracy had her session with Diane and Omar, there was a deeper dive into the dynamics of their relationship. But as far as what we're talking about, I feel, you know, plainly like Literica is arguing the fact that my man feels to me to not want to leave and cleave. He needs to want to leave and cleave, is what it felt like. But more of the conversation was towards the mom, Diane, letting him go versus him setting the boundaries. But it makes it so that it's more of the responsibility of his mother instead of his responsibility to set forth the boundaries as an adult. Okay, that's what I meant to say. But anyway, moving on. So, Terica's family obviously want Omar to detach from his mother financially. Omar's family want people to know their boundaries. I was very confused by that. Omar had an aunt, a friend, and his mom there on his behalf. We didn't hear much from his friend. What we did hear from the aunt was that these boundaries needed to be put in place. And I was like, who are you talking about? Because to me, it felt like nobody wanted to tell Diane she was wrong. Nobody wanted to tell Diane she was wrong. Okay? Like, somebody needed to say it. And I feel like nobody was holding her accountable. And that's a part of the problem. Like, everybody wants to stay quiet when somebody is not being held accountable because you don't want to get your head bitten off by big bad trench bow Diane. Okay? Oh, shout out to the neighbors. I was like, I know I'm hearing something, but I can't really hear that good out this ear. So I don't know what I'm hearing. Anyway, so Diane says when she came over, Terica stayed in her room the whole time. Terica explains that she was sleeping when she came over because Omar didn't say that she was supposed to be there. She just came home from the hospital. Diane says you only got one time to make me feel uncomfortable. Like I said, you were looking for a reason. Omar says he isn't paying for his mom's rent anymore. He used to. He was splitting it with his brother, but now he hasn't had to take care of it for a couple of months now. Omar tries to make it seem like Laterica doesn't accept his truth, about whether or not his mom was the one that decided not to move in with them. But it was annoying to me because Laterica, you should not want that lady to come and live with y'all. That's how I feel. I feel like Omar saying that Laterica doesn't hear his truth. It doesn't matter what I say, she's gonna feel how she's gonna feel. To me, that was more so coinciding with the energy he was giving. She's responding to the fact that you and your mom are telling conflicting stories. I'm sorry, but you act like a punk when it comes to your mama. I mean, you scared. You scared of your mama. You don't want to upset her. You don't want her to abandon you, right? So what do? You probably would not tell the truth because you don't want to upset her. And now you're mad at Laterica because she doesn't believe what you're saying. And, when she's hearing what your mom's saying and it's contradicting, okay? Because y'all should be on the same page, right? And y'all aren't. So how is Laterica supposed to feel if his mom is saying it was my decision and he's saying, no, ultimately it was my decision? It's stupid to me. It's really stupid. It just makes it seem as if Omar was trying to pretend like he was standing up for himself with his mom, but he really wasn't. And so if we're going to pretend like Omar was standing up for himself with his mom, then we're going to expect for him to continue to do that moving forward. And if he wasn't really doing it, he's not going to put the boundaries in place. He's going to pretend as if he's putting the boundaries in place. He's going to continue to tell them conflicting stories. And I think that's what he had been doing the whole time, telling his mama one thing to placate her and then telling Laterica another thing to placate her. When at the end of the day, Omar, at some point, this should be about what you want. And then that should be dictated to whoever it needs to be dictated to. But it was always about what the mama wanted, not really what he wanted. And that's why I feel like Laterica couldn't trust what he was saying. Because how do I know that what you're saying is coming from an honest place when it's obvious that you really just want to make your mom not be upset with you? And I'm sure Laterica felt a way about how it's okay for you to piss me off and ostracize me. I'm your woman. You have sex with me. I have a baby with you. It's okay for you to piss me off, disappoint me. But oh no, don't do it to your mama, right? When they tried to tell the mom that there needs to be boundaries, she said, oh no, there are no boundaries for me and my son. And I see what I'm talking about? See what I'm talking about? That's a problem. Why do you feel like there should be no boundaries? You must not understand what boundaries are. Like, that's why I felt about it. But anyway, she doesn't care if they stay together or not. And you can tell, okay? Hey, if it happened, it happened. I don't care. You want your man back. We know, Diane. You want your son to come home and be the man, that you wish you could have had. And it's unfortunate that her husband passed away, but it's so obvious that when the husband passed away, it re-traumatized her because her father passed away at a young age. And instead of getting help and, regaining her strength, I think she turned into a ball of emotions for Omar and then anger on top of that. You know what I'm saying? Because I feel like we were ignoring this level of anger that the mother had, but she absolutely had a lot of anger going on with the way she was handling Laterica and also with the way she was handling Omar. Just in general, you don't seem like a woman that's just so beat down, hurt. You seem like somebody that's fighting to regain control of another adult. That's what it felt like to me. So, I understand that her trauma caused her to feel the need to control things. But once again, I felt like there was a level to this shit that we were not really tapping into. Something deeper that we were not talking about. But anyway, at dinner, Laterica confronts Omar about him saying that he decided for Diane to not move in with them. Diane said God put it on her heart and told her not to move in with them. I said, whoever said it, they was right. Omar says he's sticking with he decided if she would move in or not. Laterica says, but you're not being honest. Omar says he doesn't recall his mom even telling him that she didn't want to live with them. I said, nah, I know you're lying. Now I know you're lying. And see, that's another thing for me. Men, I know a lot of times y'all don't know how to put words to your emotions, but you should really try. Because what ends up happening when y'all are these like quiet type people is that your women feel like they have to pull your thoughts, pull your feelings out of you. Because otherwise, she's not going to know what the fuck is going on in your mind. And if you're lying to her about things, she absolutely is not going to be able to trust you without a whole bunch of reassurance. You know what I'm saying? And that's what it felt like with Omar. Like, you don't really talk a lot. It's obvious you're telling Diane one thing and Literica another. It feels as if you're not being honest and you're not to be trusted. But because this is not a side woman and your mother, we're gonna act like this isn't as bad or as disrespectful as it is. But anyway, so Diane says that, you know what, she done with all this. She just gonna move to Texas. A moment where Diane decides that because she can't regain control in the moment, she's gonna threaten Omar with moving away from him. I told y'all Omar has abandonment issues. So you know he's going to now try to bend himself into a pretzel so his mom doesn't move to Texas on him. And I was like, child, if you can pay your bills in Texas, go ahead. Call me every week so I can make sure you all right. You ain't about to hold that shit over my head like that. So Tracy talks to them and explains that Omar has abandonment issues. His mom threatening him all the time only reinforces the abandonment issues. Okay, when he's not doing what she wants him to do, she's gonna threaten. Terica is tasked with trying to bond with his mom after he has a conversation with her himself. So Omar sits down with his mom and they talk about the trauma of him losing his dad. He wasn't allowed to be a kid and mourn the passing of his father because he had to be the helpmate for his mother. You know, and that's sad because he never got a chance to deal with his emotions and he was the child. Um, so Laterica was saying that she wanted to move forward with the mama, and I wish I saw something about the mama that would make sense for me. But I just feel like Laterica wanted to let that mama know, if you think I'm gonna let you push this good man away from me, you got me fucked up. That's the really like the underlying energy I felt the most. Omar sits down with his mom. Like I said, Diane lost her father at an early age as well. He took over as a father figure and as a companion to his mom. And he needs to be that for his wife. Diane brings up how she feels like there's a deeper issue going on here, and it's the fact that she don't want him to be giving me no money. She want to keep all of the money for themselves. And I was just kind of like, ma'am, that's not the deeper issue. The deeper issue is what we were just talking about. All of your trauma that you have built up inside of yourself, never dealt with, never healed, and now you're passing it on to your child and wreaking havoc in his adult life because you don't want to let him leave and cleave to his wife as he should. When she said the money was the deepest issue, I said, child, I don't know if this lady ever gonna be different. But she honestly admits that she just said she was moving to Texas to, you know, upset him, but she's not really doing that. And he tells her he has to put his wife and daughter first. She cries, but it seems as if she has some type of understanding. So Terica then spends some time with Diane, and she agrees to be better and to love Terica like a daughter. And it really seemed to have some type of emotional breakthrough because Diane was different after that. As far as how she was, this is what it is. I just figured it out. The problem is that the mama is codependent. The mom decides that since I can't push the woman away, I'm now going to create the codependent relationship with all of them. That way, I don't have to get pushed out and I can pull her strings too. That's what it felt like to me. And I could be wrong, y'all, but I just feel like a lot of times older people have a harder time committing to changes that need to take place in order for them to have healthier relationships, especially if they were so gung-ho about the toxicity in the relationship before. No boundaries. It's my son and all of this other shit. All of a sudden that changes. 3 days and that all of a sudden is gonna go away forever. And now at the end of the episode, y'all are talking every day. When they said that about how Omar and Terica are talking to the mom on a daily basis and all of that, I said because the mom is now gonna create the codependent relationship with the both of y'all. At first, it was just with her son. But it seems to me at the end of it all, she's going to create the codependent relationship with the both of them. And then I feel like I wonder if she's going to be prying into their relationship, because you're talking to her every day tells me that you're still doing too much communication with that lady. Like, y'all on the phone with her every day, like full blown conversations. Yeah, it feels like the codependency is just now, moving from just Omar to now Omar and Literica. And hey, if it works for them, great. But everyone gave their blessing. The mom cried and said, "You always had my blessing." I was like, "Did we?" Because it did not feel like it at the beginning, Diane. I don't know, y'all. I really don't. But either way, that was family or fiance. I feel like we often see these dynamics, which is why it's good to talk about these things, because people don't really realize. And somebody in my live said it earlier before I had to get out of it. But they said how they, as a mother, were told by their daughter that they were living basically in a space of lack. You're living in survival mode. A lot of Black people live in survival mode. We don't know how to be out of survival mode. And when you are in survival mode, you are emotionally unavailable or emotionally codependent on people that cannot provide you the support that you need, i.e., your kids, because they need you to support them, not the other way around. Even though those kids, "Oh, I got it, ma. I love you, ma. It's okay, ma." They're going to say those things to you because you're their parent. They don't have any other frame of reference. A lot of the times when kids love their parent, they love their parent. They have no idea that the relationship is fucked up. They don't know until it starts to affect the way the other relationships in their lives take place. As soon as Literica came into the picture, I feel like then it became glaringly obvious that Omar needed to deal with his emotionally incestuous relationship with his mom. And we hope that they get it together, y'all. But that was family or fiance. Now, let me go ahead and move on to Ready to Love, child. Okay. So the remaining folks have brunch. Randall doesn't sit with Kayla. Instead, he sits with the guys. I said, "Kayla, you should have sent yourself home at this point." I don't know why Kayla was still there, because I feel like all of the men were doing the same thing, having secret conversations with her that made her feel like their connections were stronger. And then when they got in front of people, the niggas played them out. Okay, well, her out, specifically Kayla. So if I was Kayla, I would have left just off the fact that I don't feel like either one of these men are feeling me like that. But you can tell that some people were on this show just to be here to the end. And if that works out for you, great. I don't know what the purpose is of getting to the end of a dating show, all for you to end up leaving alone. Like, I don't know what that's for, but I guess, child, camera time. But anyway, so Jamala, kisses Randall on the cheek and then goes about her way, letting it be known, "I'm not tripping today, but I am going to show you affection regardless of the fact that your other connection is sitting right over there and I'm about to go join her in a minute." Because Sharice was the only woman at the table with the men. Kadeen comes in and Swayze isn't speaking to her. Apparently they got into an argument right before they showed up to the brunch, and Swayze was saying she's too argumentative. And I was just like, "Okay, Swayze, so is she argumentative, or do you not want to give as much as she's requiring of you? So now she's problematic and you want to go back to the white Latina girls that you've been dating for the past 3 years?" Oh, is that what's going on, Swayze? Because see, it's going to be real hard for us to see you as some misunderstood Black man when the first thing that comes out of your mouth about the woman that you're dating, the Black woman that you're dating, after all of these years of only dating Caucasian or adjacent Caucasian people, women, we're gonna feel like that argumentative thing isn't as much fact as it is opinion, based on the fact that you don't like the fact that she isn't just going along with whatever you say. Because even though Kadeen is argumentative, she is. But in a lot of the conversations that they were having, I felt like he was trying to find the issue. She would ask the simplest question, and then it would be all of this, like, I don't know, almost like he thought her question was loaded. And so he had a different energy versus what she actually asked him. I think the last time they went to dinner and got into it, I was so fucking confused. I was so confused by whatever they were like getting into it about, because she was like, so do you see us, moving forward, da 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 da. And it's almost like he doesn't want to answer those questions. So he starts an argument with her so he doesn't have to answer those questions. But we've all heard that Khadeen and Swayze are all over social media. Child, they go together. All right. Real bad. Tommy joins them, and Cherie stands up to tell everybody she told Samson that his ass was not ready to love, so he had to go on and go home, and he did. Khadeen and Swayze then stand in front of the group, and they're talking to Tommy about their lack of communication and how she feels like whenever she asks about the future, he jumps off the ledge and tries to make it seem like she's being argumentative when really he's the one that is defensive. Okay? He says that he's done with her. He's tired of having to reassure her. And I was like, I need to understand how Khadeen and Swayze got back together after this man told you in front of all of those people he was done with you and he's tired of having to reassure your ass. The lack of overall care for me tells me that it's really giving I don't like black women low key. I'ma just say, because it's too many things the way black men who really like have disdain for black women, it's too many of those talking pieces, those talking points that y'all use. Oh, black women are argumentative. Oh, it's too much. You want me to constantly have to reassure you and all of this other shit, making her out to be the bad guy because you don't want to be vocal about where you are currently and your feelings. Maybe you don't know what you feel. Maybe you can't assess your feelings in a moment. Instead of saying that, you flip it and make it seem like she's wrong for asking. I don't even really like Khadeen, but I felt like a lot of the interactions with she and Swayze weren't always her being wrong as much as him being defensive because she was requiring him to do more work than he really wanted to do. So I don't know how they got together after that, because that man just basically played you in front of all of those people and said that he was tired of dealing with your ass. But somehow y'all together real bad all over social media. I guess we'll figure it out once we get to the reunion show. Mike and Randall meet up. Mike and Randall meet with their brothers and have their brothers meet with each woman in order to decipher, who they're more compatible with. They could have kept all of this. To me, they could have kept all of this. I don't know why we need to continue to have them meet with more people when it's obvious who is going to end up being with who and why. Randall picked Jamala because Jamala was more into him than anybody else. And Randall feels like the type of guy that, as much as he's going to play it cool, he still wanted to save face. So he was going to pick the woman that he felt like was more into him than he was into her. That's what that felt like to me. So Jamala got picked. Period. Because she put forth the most effort. Because she made him feel like she would do whatever to be with him. And men love that. If you beautiful and they could see themselves being in a relationship with you, and on top of that, you willing to risk it all and, love they dirty draws, even though y'all barely know each other. Yeah. It's given Randall chose Jamala because that was the easier thing to do. Like, that's just what it feels like to me. Because Kayla feels like a challenge to everybody. But either way, we'll go through it. So Kayla shows up, even though Randall was talking to Jamala more at the time. Kayla still shows up. She says that Randall is still making an effort with her. Kayla says it's been hard because of his connections with Jamala. Randall and his brother ask how she feels about him, and she gets triggered because don't ask me how I feel about him when he can't tell me how he feels about me. Stop asking me to bare my soul to a man that's not going to give me that in return. Even though I feel like Kayla did not need to take it, like she got a little, she got a little rowdy a little bit with them. And I understood where she was coming from, but there was a part of me that wished that she would not have given them all of that energy, because essentially Randall is playing games. Randall is playing cool and coy and giving y'all something different in private than he probably giving to y'all straight up front. All of that quiet shit that he got going on, it screams bullshit to me. So yeah, I'm not really trusting that Randall is going to end up, once we get to the reunion, with Jamala. I'm not really sure. But yeah, Randall and his brother, y'all know what it is. Kayla fine, Kayla sexy. They like that she had a little passion about him, but ultimately he's gonna choose the woman he finds easiest to deal with. And Jamala showed herself to be easier to deal with after the trip. Brandy meets with Mike and his brother, and she tells him that she's never been in a relationship. It's never been her fault though. She's been in situationships and stuff like that. Brandy feels like Mike can be her king, and I'm sorry, y'all, but when we're now getting to the point in life where we tired of y'all referring to these men who have no kingdoms as kings, okay? But whatever. When she leaves, his brother says it's a red flag that she's never been in love and she can't point out any of her own flaws. And I was like, honestly, I feel like we got to see Brandy like just in life, because I feel like we may have been getting a representative, but she seemed cool as fuck. Ultimately, I also feel like she's probably the type of woman that doesn't press. And men these days like women that's gonna chase them and press them. And she probably didn't feel the need to put forth that amount of effort with any of those guys until she got, until there's a situation like Mike, where you feel like he's gonna choose you at the end. So now you can do all of this extra shit that you really wanted to do for these men from the beginning, but you withheld that because you knew they weren't taking you seriously. Which I mean, I don't see anything wrong with that. Everybody is so weirded out by Brandy not having another long-term relationship to pull from, but I honestly feel like that's a good thing. That means that she's probably been weaving in and out of the relationship bullshit traffic. Okay? But I do feel like we didn't learn a lot about Brandy or her background. Like, what were your situationships like? How did they begin? How did they end? Were you ever at a point with anybody that you felt that way about, or they felt that way about you? Like, it was just like, oh, I've never had any long-term relationships. I've never had any real relationships. I've never really been in love. That's it. But there was no other like learning about Brandy. Brandy just comes off again like Jamala, easier. She's gonna be easy. And we know Mike don't want to work hard. He don't want to sweat his Beijing all up and down them tight ass shirts he be wearing. Okay. Mike and Kayla meet his brother next. It's lighter than her date with Randall. And that's because Mike and Kayla have a lot of like sexual and fun chemistry. But I think it's only because Mike doesn't take her that seriously. When Mike thinks you're somebody he can just play with, he may not go as hard. You know what I'm saying? Like, it felt like, I'm just going to keep it easy and cool because I still want, the possibility of being able to fuck Kayla once all this is over. Like, I could be wrong, y'all. I'm fine with being wrong. But like I said, Ready to Love is edited terribly and they leave a lot out. There's a lot to be desired for who these people are in real life. We have often felt like Ready to Love is extremely scripted. All of the men are from Tommy's fraternity. A lot of them don't even need to be on this damn show. It just gives fake. And it's giving fake to the point that I don't know if I can really care that much about this season. That's just how I feel about it. Because it's like Mike just seemed to pick Brandy because Brandy was easy. He seemed to want to smash Kayla because she was pretty and fine and feisty, and that's all well and good until you want to be with somebody long term and you don't want to have to keep having someone challenge you, especially if you think your old ass has learned everything you have to learn, which is the vibe that Mike kind of gives off. Randall introduces his brother to Jamala. His brother sings his praises. He's a upfront guy. You're not gonna find a better guy. Child, all that shit. Whatever. Randall is a secret player, if you ask me. Later, Randall goes on a date with Kayla to tell her that his brother liked Jamala. He was basically there to give Kayla the heave ho. Okay, Kayla is cutting her steak and being immature. They sit there and he finally blurts it out and says he's not picking her after she was like, come on, can you just get it over with already? But it was hard for him to say. But he finally did say that he wasn't picking her. She was pissed off, but she tried to play it cool, but you could tell she was bothered. And she says that she should have been focusing on Mike the whole time anyway because she had the better connection with him. I'm like, and see, when Mike thought that you were only really interested in him because Randall wasn't giving you the energy that you wanted, he may have been right about you. Because that's exactly what it sounded like when you said that shit. Oh, you don't want me? Let me go back over here to Mike. And Mike was going to choose Brandy because Brandy chose him. Period. They were all going to choose the woman they felt was like more crazy behind them. Later Randall goes, okay, when I said that, okay, yeah. Randall chooses Jamala. Mike chooses Brandy because of her face and how she makes him feel. He made her open a box. Child, listen, whatever. I'm bored. I'm bored. I can't wait to the reunion because the reunion looks like it's going to be a key and a key girl. Okay. Now, with that being said, I'ma just go ahead and give y'all a little bit Love and Marriage Huntsville since this wasn't live. I know we would have much rather had this conversation live, but the internet wants to keep playing, so I don't have time for that today. So we're just gonna get these things out, and I'll be in the chat box for the premiere if y'all want to go ahead and get into it. But I'm just gonna give y'all a quick little summarization of Love and Marriage Huntsville, girl. All right, we ready? Tiffany is giving messy bone carrying. Number one. Destiny, your attitude is stank. It's gonna be stank. It has been stank. Just be stank by yourself because I don't care. Tisha, oh, you finally getting tired of Marcel talking to you crazy? Tisha, Maurice is not gonna help you. Kimmy is over there basically becoming a more shinier version of you, meaning that she's diminished too. She's being quiet and pushing shit down too. She's allowing a man that is not as smart as her to lead her too. Like, and that's the thing for me. You know, these conversations about, oh, he's your husband and he's just trying to protect you and da 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 da. And it's like, girl, he can barely protect his girdle. Like, how he gonna protect Tisha? From who? It was just all bullshit to me as far as I'm concerned. Marceau took no accountability for the fact that he and Maurice ignited that fight. They're gonna blame it on Wanda and Mel. Okay, fine. And of course, Tisha's going to blame it on Martell. Tisha is always going to have it out for Martell in some respect because she don't like the fact that Martell ruined the image of Marceau being the guy that doesn't cheat. Anyway, Mel and Martell talk at her house, y'all. I really don't like the scenes with Mel and Martell together because I can feel the this is just a momentness. You know what I'm saying? Oh, I'm so glad you had my back. And you know I was gonna have your back, Mel, because nobody's gonna mess with my family, except for me. Nobody's gonna fuck with my family. Nobody's gonna put my ex-wife through hell but me. So yeah, I just kind of was like, yeah, y'all all right for the moment. Whatever. Stormy's house is beautiful. Stormy's estate is beautiful. Stormy, teach us all your ways. Because you was living your best Selena Quintanilla Perez life out there. Okay, that's all Selena ever wanted. Okay, make her little money off her music, and then go to her nice little farmhouse with Chris and feed the horses and the cows and the chickens and shit. Okay, so that's what it looked like that Stormy had going on over there. Stormy, can you please stop being so nice to Destiny? I know you've been in your sound room. I do love that, by the way. I want to give me some sound bowls or at least go to a sound bowl class because I do love that. I love sound bowls. It really does do something for me. So I understand, girl. You are in a Zen space and you a rich lady. Okay, you a rich lady that live on the estate. That should be your energy. You shouldn't be that upset. What do you have to be upset about? Like regular life stresses, but all in all, Stormy is big W winning. There's no reason for Stormy to be any less relaxed than we saw her during the scene with her and Tiffany. But please stop being so nice to Destiny. Destiny, nobody owes you anything. I don't know why you think your stank ass attitude should be ignored so that people can give you things to make you feel better about y'all's relationship. Like the idea that Stormy was supposed to show up with product and allow her product to be sold in your store. Stormy, don't you ever in your life explain to fucking Destiny about your distribution ever again. Don't you ever in your fucking life. She looked like she didn't understand nothing that you were saying in the first place. I'm sure she did. Destiny, she's smart, but she hard-headed. She hard-headed and she got a stank-ass entitled attitude. And she still acted funk with Stormy when Stormy was talking to her. And the funny thing about it is you so worried about Stormy shining on you that you can't even really receive the help, the aid the wisdom that you could get from her. But you too busy trying to act like, well, you're not any better than me. You're not going to one-up me. Ain't nobody trying to be better than you. But she's showing the fuck one-upped you, okay? And to me, I think your whole, I don't want the Gucci purse because, I don't need to wear somebody else's Gucci purse. Like, what you think she bought it for herself and repackaged it and gave it to you? Girl, like, don't nobody ever give Destiny no fucking gifts no more, okay? No, nobody give Destiny no gifts no more because Destiny don't know how to act when people be nice to her, if you ask me. Mel gave you money and helped bail you out of shit when you needed it, and every chance you get, you use it like she did it to manipulate you. Or from what I understand, y'all correct me if I'm wrong because I could be wrong, but I feel like Destiny was the first person to bring up that Mel gave her so much money when she was going through her divorce. Only for her to turn around now and act as if Mel uses it in some way to shine on Destiny. That's another thing. You see what I'm saying? It's the same thing with Stormy. These women are in a better position because they have a better attitude than you, probably. It's a whole bunch of other things. But primarily, it seems that Stormy and Mel have the gift of gab. They know how to talk to people. They know how to deal with people, okay? And because of that, when you needed aid, they came to your aid. And then when you couldn't get your way, or when you got upset and wanted to act like a sullen, entitled, disrespectful little fucking teenage girl, because that's what you was acting like, Destiny. At your store, you was acting like a disrespectful teenager. Every other time that we like had issues with Destiny, it's always been. And I get the feeling, but damn, bitch, grow up. Money, grow up. This is just tiring for you to be this nasty about nothing. Nothing happened between you and Stormy. Not really. You got upset because you felt like you was being replaced. Get over it. It happens. Okay? Cry in the shower, pray about it, and move the fuck on. Holding on to shit for what? And then constantly using people giving you shit as a negative. It's crazy to me. Mel gave me money. That's a bad thing, bitch. Stormy bought me a Gucci purse. That's a bad thing, bitch. Everybody's confused. Okay? Destiny. Go on somewhere, girl. Go on somewhere. Because you don't want to be here. You don't want to be here. You don't want to share what's going on in your life. You don't want to open up about how you feel. You just want to try to use Love and Marriage Huntsville as a catalyst for your business that you can't seem to get your footing with exactly. I'm not judging you. I'm just saying. Okay? Yeah. Tired of Destiny and her attitude. Just over it. Done. Fuck it. Funky Dineva. I didn't like most of that conversation that Funky Dineva had with Marceau and Tisha. Y'all know I fuck with Q, okay? I do. Seriously. But at the end of the day, the misogyny is killing me, okay? The misogyny is killing me and my internet connection, which is why I could not come to y'all in live form today. I don't care that Marceau isn't homophobic. Marceau only isn't homophobic because it suits him, because Carlos King is his boss. It's not because he truly isn't homophobic, because he's super duper misogynistic. So just know that homophobia is just being hidden better because he has more respect for men than he does for women. So even though you're a gay man, you're still a man, and you're a male presenting man. It doesn't matter that Funky is effeminate and made his fame from putting on wigs and lipstick. It doesn't matter. Quentin, as he said, and I think he made it a point to call him his full name to point out that Q, Funky Dineva, is a man. And he always gonna go up for a man before a woman, as far as I'm concerned. Think about it, y'all. The nigga almost fought Martell, but somehow he and Martell can squash it. Y'all can be on good terms, but you gonna go home and berate and disrespect your wife who really didn't do shit except for, defend her mama with the stupidity. And you did the same thing. So if you're going to be mad at Tisha for defending Wanda's stupidity, then you need to be mad at yourself too. But your attitude is crazy to me because to me it sounds like you treated Martell better than you treated your wife. And your wife ain't really even do shit this time. Martell didn't either, to be honest. But it was crazy to me how this conversation was basically, it's the women's fault. How is it the women's fault that the men can't control themselves? I get really tired of that. I really wish one day that men would be able to think for themselves. And if they don't want to get into an altercation because their woman or female family member is wilding the fuck out, then don't. But you niggas look for an opportunity to have dick measuring contests. And whenever your woman is getting into an argument, if you're looking for an opportunity to make yourself out to be a fucking hero, it's probably a dick measuring contest so you can prove you big bad. When at the end of the day, this was a fucking fight between Wanda and Mel. Nobody needed you, Marceau. Nobody needed you, Marceau. The idea that all of this was going to happen because Tisha was trying to talk some sense into her fuckhead ass mama. Girl, I cannot. But Tisha, if you want to keep being disrespected by a nigga that has missing teeth and a girdle on, go ahead. Go ahead, girl. Do you? I do not care. But I know Funky didn't see the whole fight. At this point, Funky did not see everything that took place. But I don't like the argument that the women put the men in this situation. As if men don't put themselves in these situations all the fucking time. To me, Maurice and Marceau put themselves in this situation when they decided to make Martell an adversary during this moment when they didn't have any beef. They were just inside talking. Wanda is the one trying to attack Mel, so why does that turn into a fight between Martell, Maurice, and Marceau? Why? Because Maurice and Marceau want to make sure they have some type of beef with Martell so they don't have to work with him. They can use that as an excuse. And even though Marceau is the one that said he wanted to work with Martell, I think it's only because he knows that Tisha is going to say no. That's why he said, I can't go against Tisha. I can't go against Tisha. She owned the business. I can't go against Tisha. When we've seen him a whole bunch of times tell Tisha to do what? Listen to him and shut the fuck up. So yeah. Girl, Tisha, whenever you want to stand up, we'll be here to watch whenever you want to stand up. But you're going to keep thinking that you being with Marceau and going through all of that pain and anguish that you go through in that relationship with that man, diminishing yourself so he can feel special. Girl, if you feel like that's worth putting yourself through just so you can prove the viewing public wrong, it's your life, love. With that being said, I am done. Hope y'all enjoyed. See y'all in the next one.